Hey guys, yeah, like the cap. Anyway, this is take two. Reason being is because I was a bit of an idiot yesterday. I did the filming, went perfectly well, and this morning when I was going to upload it, I ended up finding I deleted it accidentally. So needless to say, I was not very happy with myself. Yeah, but anyway, it's been a while. I've had a lot going on since my last update, which was I think a few months back. And this regards moustache. And to be honest with you, the job I was working in caused a lot of stress on me and other issues, which in turn affected my mental health. So needless to say, I'm not working there anymore. And obviously I'm getting a lot of help with a local mental health team and another local charity called SVP, St Edmunds, something or other. I can't remember the name of it now. But they've been marvellous, and they've also encouraged me to get back into the hobby, because that is a good form of therapy for mental health issues, as you all know with Models are Heroes. It's not just for people who've had trauma in the armed forces, for people who have worked in the emergency services, etc. So obviously, modeling's been a big hobby of mine, a big passion, a big love, and obviously because of my working restrictions, it left a lot of time. Didn't give me enough time to actually get into the hobby full time, and obviously being here, I just haven't got the space or facilities. However, what I have decided to do to ease myself back into it until such time where I've got bigger accommodation is that I've decided to go in for figure modelling, because it doesn't take up as much space, and it's also helping me to improve on my painting skills as well. And then the thing that really sort of, I suppose, inspired me to do it was Gil's last Gone One Dragon and Red Dragon models last post of the I think it was the bust of Lieutenant Uhura from Star Trek. That was just so inspirational. I thought, do you know what? I want to have a go at that. And I've ordered some figures in, but I'm not going to do them on this video because obviously it's going to make it too long, and to be honest with you, one or two of them are in bits and pieces, so you won't recognize them anyway. So at a later stage, when I get back into doing my figures, I'm going to do some regular updates. I'm just waiting on getting the finances to get together for an air compressor, for my airbrushes, and obviously a spray booth, because that is quite a lot of money. And at the moment, obviously, I'm not working. However, I'm not in debt, so not in debt at all. So, Neil, if you're watching this, that's my bro. Don't worry, I'm not getting myself into debt. So, needless to say, what I've been doing whilst I've been off air, not doing regular updates and stuff, I've been building my stash back up because unfortunately, due to financial circumstances with my job falling through, I ended up having to sell a lot of the old stash. Yeah, it was quite a sacrifice, but thankfully it wasn't too much because obviously I've managed to get another build up my stash again. So it's been a while since I've done an update on my stash, and because of the I've got quite a lot of stuff I've ordered in. I thought it'd be a good basis for doing a video really from my channel and adding to my content. And as you can see in the background there, Big Jet TV's on today, and it's Sunday. So yeah, I'll probably be getting back to that, and also I'm just going to do a little shout out for a very close friend of mine, Brittany Abinada. She's got a Twitch channel called Babinada. She hasn't been on it for about 3 years because obviously a lot of her time's been taken up with studying for MSIP qualification with the job that she does, and I'm pleased to say she's qualified. So congratulations, my little darling. I'm so proud of you, and you've worked hard, it's been stressful, but you've got there, and I am so proud of you. I really am. So well done, Britt. And as I say, she's got a little gaming channel on Twitch called Babby Nader, and she just started broadcasting live feeds, I think about a couple of nights ago, and she's got one on this afternoon, so check it out. She's a lovely girl, ever so friendly, so go in and get in the chat, subscribe to her channel, because every little bit helps with her channel, and it just helps sort of feed her sort of ground base, as it were. So there you go, check her out on Twitch, Babby Nader, Babinader. Okay, that's the channel. So there you go. Anyway, moving on from that, I'm going to start showing you what I got. I'm going to show you one of the figures I got in because it's just fantastic, the actual sculpt of it. And it's from a favourite programme of mine. It's a BBC drama series called Peaky Blinders. Now, somebody in the States may not know of it, but it was based around certain events prior to after the First World War, leading up to the Second World War, with gangs and etc. and smuggling etc. based on partial fact. But the cast and the stories are brilliant. They really are. And if you get the chance to watch Peaky Blinders, do. It's brilliant. Absolutely. I think it ran for about 6 series, and I have heard rumours that they're doing a film in production as we speak, so that will be remain to be seen. So yeah, I've heard strong rumours they're doing that right now. So yeah, anyway, it's getting off the beaten track to what I'm actually doing talking about. So as ever, I've come prepared and I've forgotten the figure, so I'm just going to nip next door and dig it out for you, so if you bear with me. Sorry about that, guys. I think I've actually misplaced it down here somewhere. Ah, there it is. I've just found it. Like, as I say, prepared as ever. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, here it is. It's resin. It's sort of a garage kit, really, to be honest with you. But it's just so captures the character of Thomas Shelby. Here it is. Now, you may have seen posts on my personal Facebook page of it, but look at the sculpt. They've got his Cillian Murphy's features absolutely spot on. All the layering of the clothing, the creases in the fabric, and he's about to smoke a fag there, as you can see. It does come with a base as well for it to stand on. But as I say, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Look at it. They really have caught it very, very well. It's going to be interesting doing the painting on it, but I'm going to do part airbrush, maybe some oils and some washes, but it's going to be possibly the first figure I actually do. But I've got others as well, such as the Crow, Henry Cavill as The Witcher. Also, I think I've got Gerard Butler's interpretation of King Leonidas from the E300, and also Russell Crowe as Maximus from the original Gladiator, because I know they've actually got a sequel coming out this November, which I cannot wait to see. So again, look at the sculpt and the detail in the figure. It's just absolutely exquisite. They really have caught the character well, and it's going to be interesting to see how it comes out once I've painted it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that with you guys. So at some stage I'm going to start on those, and here is the actual base. Again, the detail on it, I don't know if you can see. Oh, hang on, I'm going to have to put because it's not going to focus. Look at the detail, and obviously got the place where he puts his feet. So yeah, that is going to be interesting to do. So there you go. I think this is in 1/24 scale, or 54mm as they call it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a crack at that. Anyway, moving on from that, obviously I've got myself a couple of airbrushes in. Now I've been looking at these ones with the little compressors. There are certain pros and cons to it because you can't really angle in close, but if you do any base painting on it, then it's ideal, and you can recharge the actual little portable compressor for it as well. So I got myself one of these just for the base painting and clear coating. I might get another one for clear coating because I got these for virtually a £5, and then you do actually sell some on Amazon for about 20 quid. You can hear the compressor, you just press that little button at the bottom there, the compressor's in operation, put your paint in, thump, you're well away. So that's that really. And yeah, I think you can actually put an airbrush on it actually, and you can actually change the paint caps to a slightly larger paint cap as well, so quite handy. I mean, I've got the airbrush cleaning kit in for it. I've also got some airbrush cleaner from Vallejo and things from Vallejo, because I'm actually going to get some Vallejo colours in for the figures. Probably do Model Air because they're a lot easier to use, and I've actually got some what they call it, paints, something to help with the actual ease of the paint, because I know with some of the Vallejo they can block your airbrush up, so it's a little sort of liquid to help with the propeller, with the flow of the actual paint as well, so that it doesn't clog up. So I got myself that, and also I've been watching other YouTube modelers videos and heard about the Fender airbrushes, so I've got myself one of them. That off eBay, no, it's not eBay, I've got it off Amazon for about £21.99, and I've heard good reports about it. It's a really good little airbrush. Even Phil Flory rates it as well. So yeah, if you don't want to spend out too much for a too expensive airbrush and you're starting out in airbrushing, this would be the ideal thing to do. And I just want to give it a test and a ground run on it. I mean, I've got the Apex and everything else, but it's all in storage for the customer's house of mine. He's got it all up in his loft with a few of the other kits as well, from when I moved from my old man cave. So yeah, that led nicely actually. So as I say, all I've got to get is a compressor for that. I might be able to screw it onto that little compressor, I don't know. Oh, there's a jumbo coming in. Cathay Pacific -8, nice one. I hope Revell release the cargo variant of the -8 again, because it's getting hard to get hold of now. I know they've reissued the 400 jumbo, the Iron Maiden jet, so I'm hoping to get maybe 3 of them in, or 4 later, whilst they've got it on general release, because I want to do basically 3 of them in the BA retro schemes, the Boak, the Negus and the Landau scheme, as well as the current, well, the last scheme it was in, which is the Trafalgar scheme. So yeah, they're out an issue. They've reissued that one, the Iron Maiden one, so I might get 4 of them. So yeah, I mean, it's a classic airliner. You cannot not have one of them in your stash. I know I had the 100s, but regretfully I had to sell them. Now they're going for about £79. Yeah, so I was a bit of a muppet there getting rid of them, because I was going to do one as a tribute to the jumbo that was downed over Lockerbie. So until I can get one second hand, because I know the old Airfix kits are on eBay, you can still get hold of them. Some of them are going at ridiculous prices, some are quite reasonable price, so I might get myself hold of one of them and carry on doing the old retro jumbos as well. So yeah, as I say, I'm going to have a crack at this when I get all the rest of the tools in towards my figures, etc. And see how we get on with this Fender airbrush. I mean, you can get a compressor with Fender as well as some other tools as well. So we'll see how we get on with that at some point in the future. Anyway, moving on from that, I'm going to start with the actual kits that I actually managed to get in my stash. Now this video is probably going to be about maybe an hour or so to do, so you will have to bear with me, and I'll try not to again send you guys off to sleep if possible. Anyway, first up, what we're going to have a look at is a rather large lump. It's a US helicopter, but this is used in the Luftwaffe or the Heer, and this is of course the 148 CH-53 GSG Sea Stallion. This is a mighty beast. This is 148th, and even in 148th, I have to say, this is gonna be a monster. I mean, just to be honest with you, I'm going to show you how big the fuselage is on it. That alone. Here it is. Oh, hang on, don't get it together. If you'll bear with me. I'm having a bit of trouble trying to line it up for some reason. There we go. I mean, look at the fuselage on it. The size of the fuselage alone. Once you get the rotors on there, whoa, that's going to be a fair old lump. Unfortunately, there's not much detail on the interior. I have looked up and seen that there is a company that does do the internal workings for it. So as and when I get near to the build of this, I may well order it in because it does need a little bit of work on the interior because it's very sparse. But the good thing is with this kit is that they supply you with a gun and a Jeep. So you could do the basis of a nice little vignette here. So yeah, I am quite looking forward to building this at some stage. And that might be possibly one of my new aircraft builds, as and when I get the space. So there you go. Yeah, that should be a nice little beast to build. And talking of beasts, I've got a classic aircraft here of a reissued kit that came out some years ago, and they brought it out when it was celebrating its 50th anniversary, and it's still available. And it was a toss-up between this or the 124th Airfix kit. And because of cost, I decided to go for this, and it is our 50th anniversary kit. They reissued in 132nd GR1. I have to say I'm pleased I got it, but I was a bit disappointed with the quality of it because it is an old moulding, and it has got a lot of raised detail panelled lines on it, and the cockpit's a little bit sparse. So what I'm going to do is have a look online and see if there's any extras I can add to this, aftermarket extras, just to boost the cockpit up, and maybe some bits of the fuselage. I mean, the only thing I'm going to have to do with this is actually sand down the surface and re-scribe a lot of the detail on it. But other than that, it should build into a lovely, lovely kit. And it's not too big a size, unlike the 24th kit. But again, I might bite the bullet and get that at future time. That's if it doesn't go off sale, because the trouble with Air 6 vintage classics, they only put them on so long and then they take them out of production again, and then before you know it, the prices just go ridiculous on eBay. So yeah, this one was a real, and I mean a real steal, to be honest with you, because I saw this one on eBay with a local seller in South Ascot, and I was very surprised at the rate of price for this. It's it is the Big Lad, which is the 380, and it's the one by Revell in 144th. It's this one of the prototype. It's got everything in there. It's fully bagged, the lot. And do you know how much this I've got this for? You're not going to believe this. Just £10. That's all they were selling it for, was just £10. And that price, who's going to turn that down? Certainly not me. The only thing I'm going to have to do is get the X-Brass set to upscale the detail on it and get some aftermarket decals. Now I am thinking of getting the Etihad scheme, but I might do the ANA scheme, you know, with the whale on the front. So it's going to be a toss-up between that or maybe Singapore Airlines. I don't know, but we shall see. But I'm glad I got it. It was a lovely price, £10, because you're not often going to get these for £10. So great stuff, great stuff. Now, talking of a beast, I went and saw this aircraft at Hendon. It's a well-known Cold War bomber, one of the V-Force. This one is the old release of the Airfix Vulcan B Mark II, and even this as a kit is a big old lump because I've actually built one of these before, many years ago, before I was even doing YouTube videos. I think it was when this first came out. This is the old release, the old mould of the Vulcan. It is a bit of a filler queen. It does have some problems there, but they do some upgrade sets for these with flight path. So I'm going to look them out and get them in. And I may well do this as a Blue Steel Bird with the anti-flash white scheme as a 617 Squadron aircraft. Yeah, should look good once it's done. And along with that, I had to get a latter variant, and it's on limited release with Airfix this year. It came out, is the Avro Vulcan B2 Black Buck, and it's obviously got the radar jammer and everything in it, and obviously it's more enhanced than the old release. I haven't had this kit before in the normal B2 variant. It's beautiful. The detail on the wing spars and everything like that, the way it's put together, you put it together, it's far simpler than what you had in the previous issue. You even got the air brakes on this as well. So obviously I'm going to be doing this as XM607 as illustrated on the box, and I love the illustration on this as well. So it was one of the longest air raids in history. I think it took them, they flew over 4,000 miles and back. So that is on in the record books, and I don't think I'll ever get broken. But that was the only time this aircraft was ever used in anger. So there you go. Right, now moving on from that, because I've got about 4 cartons full of this type of kits. Got some old a vintage classic here. This later on I hope to put with a Hercules. Oh, another jumbo coming in. Korean Airlines. That's just recently started running into Heathrow again. That's the only other passenger. I mean, it's the only passenger variant of the jumbo that's actually flying to Heathrow now. So again, it's a Dash 8, and she is a beauty, absolute beauty. Anyway, as I say, I'm going to see if I can get another Herkin, and I'm going to have this to go with it as well, because when Airfix reissued it, they had the Bloodhound set. So needless to say, I got this in the Vintage Classics range. Do you know what? They have been selling like hotcakes, and I was just lucky to get this one, even after the initial release. So yeah, it comes with a little Land Rover as well, so I'm going to have it as though it's embarking onto the actual Herc as and when I get one. And I should do it in the early RAF scheme as well, the old Sam Brown camo scheme with the little white top on the canopy, on the cockpit, and the black underside. So yeah, that should look good. Another one is the Wooden Wonder. It's a retool. I think it came out about 2-3 years ago, and they just reissued it with the photo reconnaissance variant, which I might get hold of. It's the old Wooden Wonder, a 172nd de Havilland Mosquito. Looks a lovely little kit. The detail's superb on this, and hats off and kudos to Airfix for reissuing it. I just hope they do the Night Fighter variant soon, so that would look good as well. And this one was one of the range that Airfix actually announced, and if you look in my earlier video I did mention it. This one is of a interwar fighter. In fact, I saw Harry Houdini's sort of stance on the kit. He did upgrade it with some 3D printed cockpit and bits for the engine because he found that the fit on the engine wasn't good. So needless to say, I decided to bite the bullet and get it, and it's the Bristol Bulldog Mark II. And I haven't looked at the kit. It does look a super little kit. The way they've engineered it is beautiful. This was the aircraft that unfortunately Douglas Bader had his accident with at Woodley Aerodrome when somebody dared him to do aerobatics. And of course, unfortunately, the wing clipped. The engine pushed back on his legs and crushed his legs. So needless to say, he ended up as an amputee. But my God, he didn't let that beat him because basically he decided he wasn't going to give up. He was going to persevere, try and get back in the Air Force, and come the Second World War, he was. And he became one of the greatest air aces during the Battle of Britain. And unfortunately, he was shot down in 41. Saw out the war in Colditz prison camp. I know he did try to escape, but they caught him. And then after the war, he ended up actually working for Shell until his retirement. And then he used to basically get involved with charities with people who have amputees, that sort of thing. And he even still flew a Spitfire at the Royal International Air Institute at their then Greenham Common Air Show. And about 1980, or was it 79, around about 4 years before he passed away, bless him. And my father had the privilege of meeting him one time when he was filling up his petrol in his car, and he said he actually bumped into him. So there you go. And I have a book signed by Sir Douglas Bader. So that is a little treasure trove to keep hold of. I would never sell it because it's a little bit of personal sentimental value to me as well. But he wrote in it to an aircraft buff, Douglas Bader. So there you go. But yeah, this is going to be a good little kit. I hope they retool the Hawker Fury and bring out a Gloucester Gladiator in 148, because a lot of the other brands have and Airfix haven't. They still keep bringing out the 172nd kit and reissuing that, but even that's not a bad little kit actually. But there you go. Right, next one up. I got myself a nice little figure set. It's one I used before, if you remember, in the Michael Wittmann Kursk Tiger. It's this set here with machine gun crew on manoeuvres. So I've got it in again. May well use this for another vignette. So yeah, they aren't bad. I mean, this is an old set. They're not bad. I mean, admittedly, the new sets they brought out now are far better in quality. But yeah, you still go a long way with these figures. You really can. And then, obviously, in connection with that, I basically went and got myself, around about 4 months ago, was it just before Christmas? I don't think I mentioned this in the stash update. I missed this one out. It's one of Mini Art's releases, and I have heard these are a little bit over-engineered for what they are. And this one does actually come with a full interior and the crew. It's an early version of the Panzer III Aus B with crew by Mini Art. So I'm really looking forward to having a go at that. I know Mike Holmes had misgivings with Mini Art, and that was the Bulldozer, but until you know for yourself, you can't say if it's for you or not. Obviously, clearly for Mike it wasn't. So yeah, I'll have a little crack at that at some stage. Do it as a early war variant, as you can see there. Well, it was the second version. So there you go. That's that. And then moving on from that, I may have mentioned this earlier, but again, Britt, thank you so much for getting this for my birthday. It's a little jumbo, Sherman jumbo, that to me are reissued. I'm not sure if this is the actual Tasker kit rebuilt or reboxed, I'm not sure. But the actual casting texture on it is awesome, especially around the turret. And they are very easy to build, very much a shake and bake kit. To me, I do a nice range of Shermans. As you remember, I did one with the howitzer on it for the Bastogne video, Bastogne vignette I did some years ago. This was actually one of the first tanks to roll into Bastogne as well. So yeah, very much appreciated, Britt. Thank you, love. And the boxes have just all fallen down. Oh well, never mind. And this is a well-known bomber of the Second World War. She carried the heaviest loads and also was featured in use during the Dams raid in '43. It is, of course, the iconic Avro Lancaster B Mark 1-2. This is the Revell. Oh, excuse me. This is the Revell boxing. It's not as detailed, and there are apparently issues with the dihedral on the wing of this. But for considering I was trying to keep myself budgeted, that's not bad money for your buck. And I only paid $24.99 for this. Again, you do have the potential of getting net aftermarket sets for the engine and the interior, because I've seen them on eBay. But again, I'm glad I got it in, because obviously it's an iconic bomber. I've got one of three. This is one of three variants I've got in now. The other two are the Airfix kits, which are slightly better engineered, I will grant you. But again, at the end of the day, considering this is $24.99, it's not a bad kit. So there you go. Right, let's just pop that down there. And I'm going to try and tidy up these boxes again, because they've all fallen over with the weight of the kits. Hang on. There we go. So I know where I went wrong, but anyway, never mind. And this is a recent release. It's a reboxing of one of Tamiya's classic kits. Originally it was as a Gulf War variant, which you can still get hold of, but they reissued it in support of Ukraine. It is, of course, the fact that obviously some of these tanks were sent over to Ukraine to help them endeavour with getting the Russians out of their country because they were illegally overrun. And it is, of course, the M1A1 Abrams tank in the Ukrainian army markings. Now, I have got set figures to go with this. So at some point in the future, I will be doing a vignette on it. And I might even get the crew to go with it as well. So again, the quality on this is superb. It's probably very much a shake and bake kit. Needless to say, I might be getting a little bit of aftermarket with it as well. But I'm glad I got it. And it does actually build into quite a big beast. Anyway, getting into the bombers again. This is a bomber that was actually in the earlier years of the Bomber Command campaign. This is the Merlin engine variant, because they normally have Bristol Hercules engines. It is, of course, the 172nd Vickers Wellington Mark II. Now, these, unfortunately, are going out of production, I think, because they're getting less and less. So once they're gone, they're gone. But the quality of the detail on this kit, along with the original one I had, which was the Mark 1C, is beautiful, because you've got a full interior in there. But sadly, unfortunately, once you put it together, you're never going to see it. So what I plan to do on this one is have it as a cutout version. Now, I know Lenny Brennard from RTB Models actually did one where he had half the fuselage exposed, the other half not. And he did a brilliant job on that Mark 1C. That was the original retool of this. But this is the Mark II with the Merlin engines. I think the crews on these Merlin engine variants were very happy with them. Although it was a little bit underpowered for what it was. But the Wellington could take a lot of punishment, especially with the geodetic structure that it had there. And obviously they recently found one some years ago up in Loch Ness, Arthur Robert, and she's now at the Brooklands Museum and is one of the most complete examples still in existence. Other than the one that's at Cosford, which used to be at the Royal Air Force Museum at Hendon. In fact, it was one of the very last aircraft to fly with the Royal Air Force. So, and I think he actually was in the Dam Busters film as well. So needless to say, it was designed by Sir Barnes Wallis of dam busting bomber fame. And yeah, a very rugged and reliable aircraft. Right. And alongside that was its stablemate, which Airfix have just recently reintroduced again, and I'm glad they did, because the only one you could get up to until recently was the original Mark 7 Coastal Command version, which, had they not released this, I was going to convert back to a Mark 5. This is, of course, the 172nd Armstrong Whitworth Whitley Mark 5. It's a lovely, lovely kit, and when it was initially released, I was so pleased, because other than that, you had to only get the old rough fly kit or frog boxing. But again, with the detail on it, it's superb with the interior, and will be a worthy addition to my collection. Right, and last, another one, which I'm going to get out, which is last of the first carton, is, of course, as I previously mentioned, the Dam Buster variant of the Lancaster B Mark III. This is the upkeep version, and obviously this specifically is Gibson's aircraft. I just love the illustration on this, of this classic bomber. Excuse me. And it comes along with the trolley, as you can see there, which you can show off the upkeep bomb on, which I may well do as though it's being loaded up. So that could be another good basis for a vignette. And again, you've got a wealth of really crisp detail in there. It's even got the navigator's map on the navigator station and the interior of this aircraft. But the significant thing is, if you've noticed, it hasn't got a mid-upper turret. That was purely because of the weight of the aircraft. And they had the gun, believe it or not, like the Mark II variant, underneath on the fuselage. Because recently they dug up a wreck of a Lancaster and they were trying to identify it, and it turns out it was an upkeep aircraft because they found part of the actual gun mechanism. So that was how it was identified. So yeah, awesome. Glad I got that one in as well. So I'm going to put them all back in there for the minute. If you'll just bear with me. And we are at 36 minutes so far. So I'm just going to pop these back into their respective boxes as planned. Alright, so we've got that one there. Got the Lanc. The Panzer II. That's on the Panzer III. Let's put the Sherman down the side there. And then I've got the figure. Oh, I've got the Mozzie put down the side. Just about squeezing that in there. Figures. And then we've got the Bulldog. And then the Bloodhound. So that's all sorted. Right, that's that carton taken care of. Let's put the lid back on. That one up there, and then we go on to the next one. So here we go. We're going to start with some airliners first. This is a classic Trijet. It was with British Airways, specifically the start of BEA, for many years, and it was one of the regular sites at Heathrow, and I remember it as a child, more specifically in the old BEA Speedjack scheme. They entered service in 1964 or 65 and sold it on until 1985. So they had a good 21 years service record on them. And it is, of course, the old de Havilland Trident. This actually is still sealed in its box, so the decals might still be in good condition. Admittedly, this is the old classic airliners range. So it's probably around about, would say, 20 years old or more. But I'm going to actually build this as a BEA Redtail aircraft. And I did have the X-Craft kit of this as well. And that is really nice. It's actually a better quality kit than that one, but a lot more expensive, because I've got this one for 50... Get your tongue back in, Stuart. For 15 quid. So that's not bad, and I won that for 15 quid on eBay. I was going to get another one, but unfortunately I lost contact with the buyer, so because I was going to do one as the BEA Redtail and then do the other variant as the Speedjack aircraft, and then possibly get a third one, do it in the old Negus scheme, as is featured on the box art here. So yeah, again, the old lovely Roy Cross illustration on the box art there, and unfortunately, sadly, recently he passed away, but he left a wealth of art behind, and every one of us as a kid remembers his box arts. That's what made us buy these kits, was his beautiful box art. So there you go. Anyway, following on from that, another classic airliner of the same period. In fact, I remember seeing them as the old Vanguard and the old Speedjack scheme. They did reissue it some years ago, and this is the reissue of it. It's the old classic Tyne-engined Vickers Vanguard, or latterly known as the Merchantman. Again, the reason I bought that is because of the colour scheme. I just love this colour scheme. It looks so smart, so iconic, and of the period. Again, I will get another one at a later stage, do it in the BA Speedjack scheme, and possibly get a third one and do it in the Negus scheme, which was the last scheme it was used in British Airways with. Again, that had a long service record. I think they initially had these in around about 1961, and they sold it on till about 1978, until they were replaced, phased out, and went with other airlines. I think the last one flew into Brooklands around about 1988, I think, and still has now and again engine runs. They still keep it in operation at Brooklands Air Museum as well. So yeah, classic airliner, and I'm glad I got it in my stash. And this one, I think, if I remember, I posted up on my actual one of my brother's builds. He did a Spitfire basically for a customer, and he did a superb job of it. It was the original release of the Spitfire Mark 1. And you can still get a hold of a few of these old tools as well. I know they upgraded it and basically did it as a Dunkirk variant as well. But needless to say, you can probably get some aftermarket just to juice it up, and that's probably what I'll be doing. And I'll be keeping it as a Battle of Britain variant, as is indicated on the box art there. So I've got another variant, obviously, in the stash, which will come later. This one is of an aircraft which is in regular service. In fact, this variant is I think will soon start to be faded out of BA's fleet. It is, of course, the Airbus A319. Now, this kit, believe it or not, is getting harder and harder to get hold of, and I was lucky I managed to get hold of it for the price I did, because it was on eBay, and I bought this one for about, was it 24 quid? And the reason I got this is because originally I had this in my stash when it was still in production, through Revell, and I was going to do it as the BEA retro scheme, and that is intended. This is basically what I'm intending to do again. And my old mucker, Alan Harrington, who I've known for how many years, Alan? Anyway, talking of that, there's an A321 in a retro scheme of TAP Air Portugal. How about that? That's great timing, isn't it? There you go. A Neo as well. Right. Anyway, as I say, this is the CEO, the initial version, which is gradually being phased out, I think, with most airlines now. Although there's one or two independent airlines that are still buying them and still using them, and these are getting around about 20 years old now. As I say, I'm going to do it in the BEA retro scheme, specifically because my old mucker Alan Harrington actually flew on it a few times, and he used to fly on these when he actually came towards the end of his career with BA as a purser. So yeah, I'll do that as a dedication build to you, Al. So yeah, that'll be good. And I've got the aftermarket and the decals for it, so I think I'll feature that in one of my past Snash videos. Anyway, something completely different. I'm sort of wanting to get into cars as well, specifically sports cars, and this is a classic car. In fact, I think the son of the head of the people who are the auctioneers up in Yorkshire, which are featured on Bangers and Cash, His eldest son has actually got this car refurbished and is running it. It is, of course, the Ford Escort RS 1800 Mark II. This specifically in this scheme, and I saw him running this, and do you know what? I saw it and I thought, you know, as Italy have got it out, why not get it? So I bought it. Again, I got it at a cheap rate, £24. I've heard that it's a bit of a rough kit. You've got a lot of seam lines on it, etc. But I just love this iconic scheme, the old Rothman scheme in the 80s. And he did very well, actually. I forgot who drove it. I think it was a well-known rally driver. I think my cousin actually went on a driving course at Brooklands with him once. And he drove, I think he drove this actual vehicle. But as I say, it's an iconic car, iconic rally. It was used on the Lombard rally, which is featured on the box art here. They do two other versions. They do one in another rally scheme, and then obviously you've got the Zaxby one. Now the Zaxby one I wouldn't mind getting hold of. That does look an awesome looking beast. So that may come later. So I'm just wanted to get a few classic cars in my stash as well. And it's a different sort of way of building things, you know. I like variety. And again, I've got another car I like, because I like Porsches. It's the old 959. And I might get some Halfords car paint to use this and get the authentic colour for it. Yeah. So that should build into a lovely kit. Basically, it's a shake and bake kit. Does look beautiful molds. Everything's crisp and clear. I think there's hardly any seam lines on it, and it will fit like a glove. So I'm glad I got that in. Anyway, going back to aircraft again. This is an old 50s classic aircraft. It didn't have a very long service record. It had a lot of potential, and it ran alongside the Hunter for a little while. But as I say, it only sort of entered the Royal Air Force service in around about the mid-50s, and within 10 years was retired. It is, of course, the Supermarine Swift FR5, and I'm glad they reissued it on their range of Airfix kits, because when they went off sale, by God, these were going for ludicrous prices on eBay. Again, I got this one for about £21, and it's a lovely looking little kit. The retail is crisp and clear with beautiful panel lines. You can get aftermarket detail if you wish to upgrade it a little bit, and something for the cockpit, which I might well do. But it's a beautiful little kit, and I'm hoping one day that Airfix will reissue this in 1/48. And who knows, I know one of them's been in sort of refurbishment for many years. Maybe we'll have the magic of seeing these in the British Air Show circuit once again. Who knows, but we shall see. And then again, another iconic aircraft which was in the Air Force from the mid 80s when the Vulcan retired, up until recently in 2013. It's the Panavia or Tornado, and this is the GR1 variant. Now, as you know, I've already done a previous inbox review on this. This is one of Revell's better kits. The detail on it is superb and exquisite, and I think they reboxed this as the Desert Babe with Edouard. And if I can still get hold of the Desert Babe, this is going to go alongside it, and I might even get a conversion set to do it as a GR4, and I should do it possibly in the Dam Busters anniversary scheme. So yeah, again, it's just an iconic aircraft. It served well in both Gulf Wars, and more recently I think in where was it, was its last, in Afghanistan as well. So yeah, awesome aircraft. And another little bit of armour. This is one that I was hoping to finish before I moved from the old man cave. It's a classic tank and a classic kit. It's the Panzer Kampfwagen Panzer II F and G DAC variant, which comes with infantry as well. Now, I have seen some resin figures that can go with this. I'll get my teeth back in. Easy for me to say. Anyway, moving on. As I say, it's a classic old kit. I only got this for 11 quid. How about that? Off eBay, £11, and you're still getting a good amount for your buck, to be honest with you. I've got some resin sets to go with it. Where did I put them? No, I'll put them down somewhere for stowage. And as I say, I've seen resin figures that can go with this. I may order that and do it as a vignette on its own, and save the entry figures for another vignette sometime in the future. So yeah, lovely little kit. Got it back in. I'm going to leave the one that I was doing with my brother, because I'm hoping he's going to finish that one up. And going on to airliners again. This is a classic airliner. In fact, it was the very first jet airliner, the Comet. And it is, of course, the Comet 4B in BA scheme with A model. Now, that's not a bad little kit. The panel lines are beautiful on it. It really looks the part. I bought it because of the colour scheme. There is a down air variant with the slip tanks on it, but obviously I might get two of them. One I'm going to keep as a down air Comet, and the other one I should do as a Boac bird. Yeah, it's a beautiful classic airliner. I think it was only the Trident that actually ended up replacing it. So yeah, glad I got it in. And then obviously we got another last variant of the Lank. This is the most unknown version. It was the Hercules variant, the Mark II, with the gun port underneath, because you can do one of two variants in this, both in Canadian squadrons. I think one's Polish, one's Canadian. It is, of course, Airfix's Avro Lancaster B Mark II with the Hercules engines on it, and as you can see on this variant, you've got this one with a little gun underneath. That's the one I'm probably going to do. It wasn't as good with the ceiling height, because obviously the engines weren't as powerful as its normal Merlin sisters, and for that very reason there was a little bit more of a higher loss rate on this version during air raids, during the bomber campaign during the Second World War. I think initially entered service around about 1942, but 2 years later a lot of them were actually taken offline from the frontline squadrons, because obviously it didn't do as well as they'd hoped. And then it was, I think, basically used as an air test bed for some aircraft that were left later after the war. But a lot of these, unfortunately, ended up being scrapped at the end of the war. There were 1 or 2 variants still flying in the early 50s, but that was it. So there you go. Again, the detail on them is just as good as its sister aircraft. This one, actually, Frankie Day inspired me to get this one, because he actually did a lovely build of this old kit. And this one, again, I got a very good deal. I think it was around about £21. I ended up winning it on eBay. It is, of course, the C-121A Constellation. An iconic aircraft during the earlier years of passenger service after the war, and it was used as a troop transport, as you can see here. And this particular variant was the one that was used during the Berlin airlift. Now, Frankie's build of this looks superb. It's a big old beast. I'm kidding you, for 1/72. You can get other variants of it. You can get one in Air France, and I think there's one in Dutch Airlines, KLM, known as the Royal Flying Dutchman. And then obviously you've got the Super Connie in the TWA markings. So I think Airfix reissued them in their boxings as well in the sort of late 80s. And I do remember getting the Air France variant of this when it was initially released, but I never got around to building it, and I can't remember what happened to it in the end. But I'm glad I got it back in my stash. And as I say, I'm going to do this as the Berlin airlift variant, or possibly, if I can source it, a Boac bird, if I can get the aftermarket decals. And then getting back into sort of marine navy ships side of things. It's a vintage Airfix Vintage Classics from the 1600 ship range. It is, of course, HMS Fearless. This one is going out of sale and going offline. If you want to get hold of any of these, they're going to get harder and harder to get hold of. The reason I bought it was because it was the flagship, it was a flagship for the Royal Navy during the Falklands War, and it's where the treaty, it's where the surrender was signed as well. Sadly, her and her sister ended up getting her into the Scrapman's Torch and being recycled, which is a shame because they could have preserved one of the two sisters because she was the last steam turbine engine ship of the Royal Navy as well. Sad day that was, but there you go. Right, I'm going to get these back in the box again. So that's that. How are we getting on? We're up to 50 minutes nearly. Well, 55 minutes nearly now. So yeah, I hope I'm still not. I hope I'm not sending you guys asleep. That's all I'm hoping. So yeah, I'm just going to pop it all back in the box again. He says. I don't know how many more times I'm going to be doing this, but hey, it's nice to have a nice stash of kits again, I must admit. And it basically inspires me to get back into my building again, you know. There you go. Alright, let's just see what we're doing here. I'm trying to organise it a bit better. Just pop that on the side. That goes there. That goes in there. That goes in there. Yeah, they go to the side. And that's going to the side as well. Right, I think we're almost there with that one. Seems more room in there than there was before. Oh well. Oh, hang on, I forgot these two. Right, here we go. Actually, I'll pack that even better than I did the first time round. Oh dear, I don't know. Right, anyway, let's get that one over there, and that one on the top there, and then bring the next one along. Right. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop that one over here a minute. So let's pop that there. And just move this one on next. Right. Carton number 3. Okay. Now we're going to start off with some figures. Because basically these are going to be one of the first figures I'm going to do. They're not resin. They're old classic Tamiya range, 1/16. And I must admit I was inspired to get this one first, which is the machine gunner. Again, look at the detail on him. Beautiful, beautiful, and that could actually be a good basis for a little vignette as well. Specifically, he's basically dressed up in winter, so that could be out in Russia, or in the Ardennes campaign, possibly, you don't know. But they are lovely little kits. If you want to get into figure work, they're a good basis to start on. I've seen one or two of these actually built up and painted properly. They look super. So yeah, I might start out on these other than the Thomas Shelby figure. But just to sort of get my hand in, as it were. But I've got this one. I've got the Tank Commander, which is actually, I think, based on Michael Wittmann. And you can basically have it with the normal cap on or the flat cap, which looks more like Michael Wittmann, actually, believe it or not. So yeah, I might do it as the latter variant on that one. And I think I did actually get one more figure. Oh yes, here we go. Here we go. This again is a German infantryman in the old tritonal sort of scheme outfit. Again, that could be easily be during the latter years of the war, actually, in the Ardennes period. And again, the features on him are beautifully sculpted. I know they're years old, but they are sort of what you could cut your teeth on if you want to get into figure work, really. And that camo scheme on that smock is going to be a challenge, I can tell you. So yeah, but I like to challenge myself now and again. Anyway, this is an iconic aircraft that basically was recently retired after many years of service in the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force. They are still used in some air arms around the world, but I think even in there they're gradually replacing them now. It's the old Westland Sea King HAR Mark III. Now I believe this was Paul Bretton's first ever model he built with his dad. So I am going to have a crack at it, but I'm going to convert it back to an HAS Mark 1 because I've got a decal sheet with all the air group of the Ark Royal in 1/72nd. So I'm going to do this as an HAS Mark 1 or Mark 2 possibly, and see how I get on with this one. But again, the detail on this kit is lovely. Again, I think this was one of the first kits they actually retooled because originally it was just a normal HAS Mark 1. I did have the Italeri one of that. You could do it as an SH3 or HAS Mark 1, but I've tried hunting it down on eBay, can't find it anywhere. So maybe Italeri might be good and reissue it again very soon. Who knows? And talking of helicopters, this was based at a local airfield that I used to go to when I was a child, along with my mum and dad and my brother, when we used to go blackberry picking around RAF Odium. And it actually, get my teeth back in again. It had its initial service trials at RAF Odium. It is, of course, one of the classic vintage range, which has just been recently reissued, and I might get another one to do it in the camo variant. It's the Bristol Belvedere 192. This one is based on the prototype, so I may well look out and see if they do any 3D for the air scoops and other parts of this to upgrade it really. And the interior I'm going to scratch build because obviously it's pretty bare inside. So I've heard one or two things about the fit on this kit, but again, it's an iconic twin-engined helicopter which was piston engine powered and was the forerunner to today's Chinook. So, and I've seen the real thing at Hendon as well. It is a lovely looking chopper, and I'm glad I got it in my stash really. Again, another set of figures from Tamiya, 135th, and I know Mike Cohen actually rated these ones. He said, well, one of the better sets. It is, of course, the winter briefing set, and on that basis I ended up buying them. And thank you, Mike, for the recommendation on that, because I might well use that as a late war vignette, maybe an Ardennes one, I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, next up is another classic biplane. Was used in the Royal Navy and used in the raid of Toronto, and also for the sinking of the Bismarck. It is, of course, Airfix's 1/72nd Saltfish, Ferry Saltfish Mark 1. And it's done in a pre-war scheme or even one of the aircraft that you can see there in its Toronto scheme. I think I'm going to do the first option, to be honest with you, because it does look far more colourful. And I've also got its stablemate, which is, with Special Hobby, the Blackburn Skua. This is in the markings of an aircraft that was based on HMS Ark Royal as well, because these two flew together on the Ark. Although that's in the markings, I think, of an aircraft on HMS Glorious, I may be wrong. So, again, I can get some aftermarket decals for that, and I might do them as both the aircraft on the third Ark Royal, which was unfortunately sunk around about November 1941. But in fact, that was a very good sort of rescue operation, because I think they only actually lost one person on that ship. But again, with Special Hobby, the detail is so crisp and clear. Admittedly, there's not a lot of lug holes to sort of fit the fuselage, but the detail, it's just first rate. I really like these. I don't know what they're like to build, so we shall see. Now, we're getting on to figures again and armour. This is an ICM set I previously got. It's based on the First World War vehicle, and it comes with the figures as well, because they do tend to do this. They initially release the vehicle and the figures separately, and then they do it as a set. So I decided to buy it as a it's the set. Sorry, getting tongue tied this afternoon. I think it's because I've not eaten. It is what? My God, 5:05 in the afternoon. Anyway, I digress. This is the Model T Ford 1970 ambulance with US medical personnel. That is, again, a very good basis for a vignette. And I might get some, I've got some 3D printed First World War troop figures to go with that. So I may well include them in it. They are resin. in 1/35, and that may well go nicely as a nicely depicted scene as well in the First World War. But again, the detail on these kits is just so crisp and clear and beautiful, and the internal workings on it are beautiful as well. It's got a lovely little engine on it as well. And the other one is a Model T RNS armoured car with World War I British tank crew, which is that one there. And again, that's another good basis for a vignette as well. So, and the actually interesting thing is the camo scheme on the vehicle as well. So, yeah, looking forward to building that one as well. Also, this was another one inspired by Frankie Day, because he was actually, I didn't realise this was going to be so small. Because when I ordered 1/350th, basically I thought it was going to be quite a big ship, but this one is quite tiny. I'll show you how tiny. That is the hull. So I slightly slipped up there, Frankie, didn't I? But again, it looks a nice quality kit. I mean, it's an old one, but for what you're getting and what I paid for it, I can't really grumble. And I could do it as a seascape as well. And you've got the rigging wire in it as well. So for that scale and for 14 quid, I can't grumble. So there you go. And another classic ship of the 1600 Airfix Vintage Classics range, which I got a feeling is going out of production again, is of course the frigate County Class HMS Devonshire. She actually ended up getting paid off the same time the old Ark did, and was scrapped at the same place at Cairn Yarn. But she had a very good service record. In fact, she was the first of the County Class to go into service in 1961, I think. And she was involved, I don't think she was involved in the Falklands War, because by then she'd been scrapped. So, but her sisters, Antrim and all the others, did. And I think there was a few that actually went to the Argentinian Navy, which were built and sent to them before the Falklands War. So I think there's one or two possibly still in operation in a Brazilian Navy. I'm not sure, I might be wrong. This one is a classic warbird of the Cold War, and it was used in the Gulf War, first one. And the reason I bought this one, because this one was based at Lakenheath. Where now they've got the F-15 Eagle and F-35A stealth fighter there. But because I've watched the stream and I remember these aircraft, and my dad did a 1/48th kit of this in, I think it was the old monogram kit, I actually decided to get one of these in. It's actually a reboxing of a Hasegawa kit. It's the Hobby 2000 F111DF Aardvark. Beautiful looking kit. I like the camo scheme on that. It's a classic iconic warbird of the Cold War, and I'm very much looking forward to building that. I really am. And this is another classic bomber of the Second World War, again of the US Air Force. Well, I say US Air Force, it was the then US Army Air Force. It is of course the B-17 Memphis Belle Fortress B-17F. Now the reason I bought this was because I've just recently been watching Masters of the Air, and if you haven't seen it, I fully recommend you do, because it just makes you realise what these guys went through day after day after day. Specifically the 100th Air Group, which was based at Apthorpe Abbots. They had the highest loss rate during the Second World War. For instance, on one raid they were down to 17 aircraft after a first raid over Bremen, and 17 aircraft went out and only one ever returned. So, you know, there but go for the grace of God. And that was over the same place, Bremen. They absolutely got pounced on by the Luftwaffe. So yeah, it's a marvellous series, and I would wholeheartedly recommend you watch it. So yeah, I'm glad I got this one in. And as for this is actually a lot more detailed on the interior than the actual 1/48th reboxing of the old monogram kit as well. So I'm glad I got it in. I really am. And then obviously, you know me, with my armour, I'm a Tiger Nut. I've got the old classic. Yeah, the old early version of the Tiger one. Again, I'm going to do this as possibly, I'll have the grey skin which is featured on the box, or I may get another variant and do it as Otto Karas' early version. So it also gives you the option of doing it as Tiger 131 in this box. So could be that one. I might do that. I don't know. Let's see. Then obviously we've got the other figure set which I mentioned, which is some Ukrainian troops, which is going to go with the leopards on the vignette. So the detail on these, exquisite, really exquisite. And then finally in this carton, this is another Vintage Classics range of an unusual craft. In fact, it was the forerunner of the hovercraft. It was the very first hovercraft. It's the SRN-1, which was recently reissued, and I think, to be honest with you, these are going to be going out of circulation soon. So if you want to get one of these, snap them up. All right, that's that. I'm just going to pop these back in the box, and then we'll be on to the final carton. Pop that in there, pop that one in there, put them down that side. That one goes there. That is going to go down the side there. And that one's going down the side. That's the trouble. You get these out, and then you've got to figure out how the hell you're going to get them all back in. Oh dear, I don't know, what am I like? I do make work for myself, but hey, who knows, who cares? I enjoy it, that's the main thing. Actually, this is working out a lot better than I actually originally boxed it with. So that can go there. Oh, cool. That can go there. These can go on the top. And then obviously we've got the swordfish. And then we've got the skewer. That's not going to quite work. I'll pop that down there. Okay, so that goes underneath there. Yeah, we'll be fine. We're going to be fine. Right, that's worked out nicely. And so has that. There we are, all done. That was easy. Right, let's just put the lid on that one, and then we're on to the final carton. I hope you're still awake out there. Right, here we go. Right. There we go. This is one I should not have bought, and I wish I hadn't, because I looked at the kit and I thought, oh my god, what have you done? And this is a Mr. Kit SE210 Caravelle in United Airways scheme. This is going to need a bit of work on it, guys, to be honest with you. It is as crude as hell. It looks somewhat like a Caravelle, I would admit. It's partly raised, partly recessed. There's hardly any detail in the interior, so if I want to do the back of the kit as though the aircraft is actually disembarking passengers, I'm going to have to do some scratch building on it. Yeah, just as well it was only 12 quid. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Anyway, this is another rather unusual aircraft, again of the Airfix Classics vintage range, which was recently reissued, I think 3 or 4 months ago. They're starting to go fairly, I think this is only going to be a short-term release, because I think a lot of these are going to be out of circulation again. It's an aircraft, was part helicopter, part aircraft. Was put forward as a tender for the Royal Air Force and BEA. It did well, don't get me wrong. It was quite a powerful aircraft. It was very, what's the word? Advanced for its time. Very versatile, but unfortunately it didn't get the government backing it deserved, and it started to get expensive. Because it made so much noise, it was just unsellable. And unfortunately, BEA cancelled their initial tender, and they tried to sell it over abroad, and there was only one aircraft prototype that was ever built. It is, of course, the Ferry Rotodyne. Sadly, it didn't get anywhere. The program was cancelled at the end of 1961, I think it was. It initially flew in 1958 from an airfield not far from here. I'd say it's about 40-minute drive from here, at White Waltham Airfield, because that used to be Ferry's test airfield. and it was flown there. And in fact, my dad remembers seeing it parked up after it was cancelled, and quite a sorry sight it is too. Unfortunately, it was scrapped, and I think there is sections of it still visible at the Westlands, old Westland plant of the helicopter museum down in Devon. So yeah, check that out. Again, it's a bit of a crude kit. If you want to super detail it, you're going to need to do a bit of work on the interior. But it's an iconic aircraft, so that's why I bought it really. I mean, Dad always used to harp on about it when it was mentioned. So yeah. And this is the other Tiger I got. And I'm glad I did, because I got this for $39. It's a limited edition of Wrightfields. It's the Valier Bocage late production Tiger one, which was commanded by Michael Wittmann, and this tank actually took out several, I think it was Cromwell tanks, as well as other armoured vehicles in one action, and the space of about 20 minutes. And that's the sign of a master tactician. Unfortunately, 2 or 3 weeks later, Michael was killed in another Tiger when he was pounced on by fireflies. One of them had a lucky shot, blew off the top of the turret and killed him and the crew instantly. So yeah, sad end to a great tank ace. But this is Tiger 222 of Wrightfields, and I'm not kidding you, that is packed to the hilt. And you've even got a little resin figure of Michael in a well-known pose, which you can put on the turret of the tank. So there you go, I managed to get that one in. Not bad for £39, and it is packed to a damn hill. If you don't believe me, I am going to open up the box and you can see for yourself. So there you go. I'm looking forward to building that one at some stage. I really, really am. In fact, to be honest with you, they've got a vast range of Tiger ones now, and in fact, they're one of the highest competitors towards Dragon. Quality's nearly as good, if not better. And I think Takom have actually released a few, as well as border models. So Dragon, you're going to have to get your skates on and start bringing out some new kits and not keep releasing the old stuff. Although I have to say, Dragon, I cut my teeth on those with Tigers. The only thing I would say that sets them back is you've got so many pieces on the sprue. Some of them you don't need, and the instructions are as vague as hell. So unless you do a great deal of study on the subjects, you're not going to get anywhere with them. So they're not a very good basis for a starter kit. I was lucky in that I had advice on how to cut my teeth into them. So I will thank Mike Cohen and Adam. Oh, God. Sorry, Adam. My brain's just gone bloody blank, buddy. It's gone. Sorry. Adam, I apologise. Anyway, he knows who he is. They've been very helpful towards my research on Tigers. But anyway, moving on from that. Here's the other Spitfire I got. I had it stashed once. I've got it again and again because it's getting more and more hard to get hold of now. Again, I got this one at a very good deal of £25. It is Edwards Profi Pack edition of the early Spitfire Mark 1. They have got quite a vast range of Spitfires now, and I have to say they are beautiful. In fact, I think the brother built 1 or 2 of them, and he said they are such a lovely, lovely kit. I think the latest one they brought out was a Mark 5B with the clip wings. And I think they're bringing out other versions as well soon. Hopefully they're going to bring out some of the Griffin engine versions, because I love the sound of the Griffins. And they are my favourite Spitfires, the Griffin engine variants. But as I say, this one I may well build as the prototype, K5054, because I do have an aftermarket decal sheet for the prototype. And if I can get hold of another one, I will. So there you go. But if you want to get hold of them, guys, I suggest you get hold of them quick, because they are getting snapped up. And then finally, again, going back to ships, I've decided on getting a waterline kit. This one was such a good deal, say £15, I couldn't refuse it. It's the old 1/700th waterline aircraft carrier USS Hornet. Now I probably might well do this as a vignette with the old Enterprise, which you can see in the box art illustration hovering around at the back there. And talking of that, finally I got this one. It's by a company called Mini Hobby Models. It is, of course, its sister, the Enterprise, as well. This one comes with a full hull, although you have the potential of doing it as a waterline kit as well. So, yeah, it was cheap as chips. The quantity is a little bit, I wouldn't say as good as Tamiya, and you do have the actual, yeah, as I say, this one that comes with a full hull, as opposed to a waterline hull. I may get around out and put some sort of styrene in there and cut the hole down and do it as a waterline kit. I don't know, but it does have the potential of actually having a motor in it as well. Details a little bit crude on it as opposed to Tamiya, but yeah, you know, I mean, you could do it as a sort of basis for a vignette or something. So yeah, there you go. That is virtually it, guys. That is what we've gone into, an hour and 20 minutes. That must be the longest video I've ever done. That's basically what I've got in my stash at this current moment in time. As I say, I might possibly do one on my figures. I don't know. I haven't made my mind up. I might just leave it until I actually get around to building them. So we shall see, but there you are. That is the end of this video. I hope I didn't send you off to sleep. I hope this wasn't too long for you, and as I say, as I always say in my videos, get kit crazy, happy modelling, stay safe, and look after yourselves and enjoy this hobby as we all do. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.